All right. We are back for another episode of the Crocus Experience. And I'm excited to have David Leddick here with me today. Welcome, David.
All right. Thanks, man. Happy to be here.
Yeah. He was just showing me around his pad there, but you're in sunny San Diego today.
Not too sunny today, but we're in San Diego, so the sun will definitely be out eventually.
I
We
love
know that.
I love it. Awesome. So to give you guys a little bit of background, David and I actually chat pretty regularly. He's a client of ours on the SEO side. But we were chatting and he was like, hey, when can I come on the show? And I was like, well, why haven't we gotten you on the show? Because you've, we chat so often. We have these long rabbit hole conversations sometimes. But excited to have you, David. And I think let's give the audience a little bit of a background and then we'll just dive into some discussion.
Yeah,
Give
for
us,
sure, man.
background on you because I know junk removal is not it has not always been your story. So give some background for people.
Definitely. Well, so yeah, I was a mover for a long time. I grew up, born out here, raised on the East Coast, came back out in my early 20s and just did construction thing, worked in bars, that kind of deal. And then was working at a moving company, became a moving contractor through United Van Lines and grew a moving business from me and one of my buddies when I was 28 years old to I sold it at 38 and we had 5 trucks. And at our peak, we were like running like 30 guys and it was all through United. So the way they do it is they contract your services out. So I owned all the trucks, I employed all the guys, but they find you the business. So, they're booking through their sales force, their national accounts, their military contracts. So they're booking all the work and then they just contract it out. So I did that for like 10 years. I got really burnt out. I was just a way different person back then, working 6-7 days a week, partying a lot, that whole lifestyle, just chasing money. And then as fast as I could bring it in, it's as fast as I could get it out. Right. So I ended up selling that business to one of the guys that worked for me. And then and from there, I kind of went through this whole lifestyle change and quit drinking and decided to get in shape and went that route. And through that process, that journey, I started training with kettlebells. And I really fell in love with that whole deal. Became a trainer, opened up a kettlebell training studio, was a colossal financial flop, lost all my money, didn't know what I was doing. But I had a buddy who owned JunkMD. So, and he had let it die. So it literally, there was this old dump truck that looked like something out of Mad Max. And it sat on the street that he lived on for like over a year. And we were hanging out one day and he's like, dude, why don't you just take JunkMD and start doing that? And I was like, yeah, why not? And I started doing that. I was still trying to run this training studio and I was losing money. I got out of the training studio, the lease was up, and I started doing JunkMD. Just started not knowing what I was doing. It was pretty much me solo. I had guys from the moving business that I could call when and if I ever booked a bigger job. But it's pretty much just, running around the neighborhood. I lived in Pacific Beach and doing jobs at Pacific Beach in La Jolla and made a little bit of money, enough to facilitate my lifestyle at that time. And which was a beach, kind of like a beach lifestyle. I lived by the beach and would work 4 or 5 hours a day, make a couple $100, sell some stuff. And I thought I was, living it up. And I'd really burned out from the moving company. So I wasn't thinking big at that time. I was just kind of thinking survive, and live this beach lifestyle. Long story short, I met this great woman, Clemencia. We hit it off. We started dating. She's like, man, you got something here with this thing. I can help you get organized, because I was very unorganized. And together we've grown this business over the last few years. So now we have 2 trucks plus a pickup truck and a trailer. Right now we have 5 employees, and yeah, just doing the JunkMD thing.
That's cool. I want to go back to moving there. What burnt you out? Because that's something we want to talk about here is the ups and downs of business. But what was it specifically about moving that burned you out?
Well, first off, I was a way different person back then. So
maybe burning the candles at both ends too.
Burning the candles at both ends, for sure, man. There was no in between. It was just work and then just party, work and party, and no concept of self-development, no concept of personal development, no, like, wasn't health-minded. I was a bad leader, but I was a hard worker, and I would get up early and I'd show up no matter what, hungover or not hungover, work till the jobs got done. And the thing with moving is, you might not get home till, you might start at 7 a.m. and you might not get home till midnight. I mean, my record day was, we started at, and this is when I worked for somebody, we started at 7. We did a local move. We got done at 4. We had a half hour to go grab some food. And then we were on a job site for an office move at 5 o'clock that day. And we worked till 1 o'clock that morning. And moving was just crazy like that. And just a different person. So burned out, partying, burning that candle both ends, and no direction of how to do things a better way, if that makes sense.
Makes a lot of sense. Yeah, cool. What and then jumping to the fitness side, people in the agency space anyway can relate to this, but I think business owners in general will relate when I kind of tie this back. But at one point, you actually coached Dan Martell, didn't you?
I did, yeah. So I had this little training studio in Pacific Beach, and Dan was staying there for the summer. And he walked in one day and was just kind of like, yeah, I want to do some one-on-one. I want to learn how to do kettlebell stuff. And so I got the opportunity to work with him one-on-one a little bit. At that time, I didn't know who Dan Martell was. Now I follow him on social media and stuff, and he's blown up, man. It's crazy. I didn't realize back then who I was actually spending time with.
It's cool. It's cool. So, it was cool when you brought that up the other day. I was like, because I'm reading his book right now, and if you haven't, I think this is applicable to any business owner, no matter what business type you run. It's called Buy Back Your Time by Dan Martell. I'm holding it up here in the video, but if you're listening on podcast, it's Buy Back Your Time by Dan Martell. He actually grew up in Moncton, an hour and a half away from me. Awesome. So it's funny. You're in San Diego. I'm here in New Brunswick, Canada, and we've got that connection there. But definitely, if you haven't as a business owner, pick up the book and buy it or listen to it. Buy Back Your Time by Dan Martell. It's cool. It's a very good one. But yeah, a cool little tidbit there.
Yeah.
But back to the fitness side. What do you think? Why did it flop? Was it just a lack of business acumen? Was it?
I think so. Because I was a contractor for United, they were getting all of the business. We were just handling it. So there was I didn't understand the marketing of fitness studio. None of that was all foreign to me. And then with fitness, what I've come to find out, it's a lot of people don't see the value in it, right? Oh, I can do it myself, or there definitely is a way to market fitness that is going to get people not only in your door, but then to keep them there. And that's a whole other ballgame. And I just thought, because I liked it, it's like, what's that movie? If you build it, they will come. And that was kind of the mentality, because I'd found this way of living that I really connected with, and it changed my life. I dropped 80 pounds in 6 months, and was just like, oh, everybody else is going to love it, because I love it. And that just wasn't the case. And the more I got myself in debt, the more I would just try to throw money at the problem. And nothing worked, and it wasn't until I was able to get out of that, that business and take back and take some time and really understand marketing and understand a lot of business concepts of follow through and follow up and all of this stuff that I was able to understand why that business didn't work.
How do you think that failure, I'm going to say, because it was a big lesson, I'm sure, but how do you think that's affected the way that you approach business now?
It's way different. I think that, I try to do things. I try to, first of all, find people to hire like stuff that I'm not good at. I'm going to hire it out, right? I understand how important marketing is. I understand how important getting eyeballs on your business is. And I also understand that once you do that service for somebody, how you need to keep them coming back. Um, one example of JunkMD where I saw this come into play is back in the day, I was rolling by myself, and it was like a Sunday. I go do this job for this lady, and I asked her, I said, "Hey, could you give us a 5-star review?" She said, "Yeah, no problem." And I'm always checking Yelp, or Google my business, my competitors. And like 8 months later, I happened to see Junk King had a 5-star review from the same lady. And I was like, oh man, like why? Like, she liked me so much. Why did that happen? And really, it's just that lack of follow-up, right? People forget. They don't know you. I think we tend to believe that we're so focused on us, like, oh, they liked us, they're never going to forget us. And that's just not the case. People have their own lives, their own problems, their own businesses, jobs, kids, whatever, and they don't remember you, so you have to be sending them text messages. You have to be sending them thank you cards. You have to be sending them emails. You have to just keep touching base with them, keep making those touch points so they don't forget. And when they do need that service again, they're going to be the ones that are going to, think about you. And I didn't understand any of that when I had the gym. Just foreign concept to me.
Interesting. It's interesting you say that, because I've started, I had a plumber in to do our toilet. We've started having someone do a little bit of cleaning for us, just to help alleviate the load as we come up to the birth of our 4th year. And
wow. Congratulations.
Thank you. Yeah. Crazy times for sure. But what I've noticed, and I think I would recommend everybody buy services from someone local if you can. One, to be blown away by their service, because we are by the cleaning people. Every time they come, they leave. I think I actually have it here because I'm going to do a reel on it. They leave a thank you card every single time they come. It's a little thank you card, a little envelope, or it's not in an envelope, it's just a thank you card here. And this is on video, so you can go watch it on YouTube if you're watching later. But it leaves, how we can refer people and get money back, how we can leave a review. And then they have a handwritten note here, and they leave candies every time. And guess what? The kids are so excited by the candies that they're like asking when the cleaners are going to come back.
Right. That's huge.
Little things, right? The plumber as well. They emailed me an invoice to pay through their invoice, which was amazing. On the flip side, we had someone come out to clean our HVAC, and they mailed me the invoice.
Right.
And it was brutal. I was like they kept emailing me saying, we mailed you your invoice and stuff. And it's not that I wasn't going to pay. It's that it just was a hassle for me to have to reach out to them and give my card over the phone. And so it was just something that, as I've acquired the ability to use some of these services, it's allowed me to see the back end as a consumer. It's like, man, these are some little things that we need to be paying attention to. And back to the cleaners, they're constantly reaching out via email. How could we have done better? Every time they do a job, they have their cleaners here, but then the office messages and they're like, what could we have done better? Wow. And stuff like that keeps them front of mind for us. Same as you said, like if you're not emailing your list or texting them at least quarterly, we're humans. We don't remember what we had for breakfast yesterday, let alone who to call if we need junk removal. They're probably going to Google again, who's the best junk removal company in my area, and if you don't show up, they're going to go with someone else. So I love that you brought that up. That's such a key point. So you obviously brought that. Yeah, go ahead.
No. I was just gonna comment on that. I mean, like, that little touch that they do. I mean, that's so huge that your kids are actually like, hey, when are they coming back? I mean, you're not going to use anybody else in this unless they did like a really horrible job. But other than that, they're your customer for, you know what I mean? That's so huge.
Yeah. And it made me think, like, they also left a magnet, and the kids love playing with the magnets on the fridge. So I always thought magnets were silly, but it's like, at least in our house, the magnets get played with, right?
Yeah.
I know some companies that have done like little stuffies for the kids, and they'll leave that behind. And so it's like little things like this that you don't get taught in marketing or not a lot of people are talking about. Like, how can you be
Right.
stickier? How can you be more memorable? Because attention is probably the most valuable thing we have right now. They're going to see a reel or they're going to see an ad from someone, but if they have, if they have their kids asking for candies, you're probably going to call the person that brought the candies.
Yeah, for sure.
Interesting point, to kind of piggyback on being memorable and being in front of your clients. I love it. So we'll kind of jump in the middle there. One of the things that is big for you is mindset. I didn't know that you had lost 80 pounds. That's huge, and
Yeah.
understandable that you'd be passionate about the kettlebell stuff. And I know fitness is huge for you, but you talked as well in the moving world. You weren't really paying attention to self development. How has
Not
that how has that played into where you are now? Like
it's
starting to pay attention.
it's made such a big difference, and I'll just go back in time to that time where I lost the weight. So yeah, and I remember it was crazy because at the time I drank a lot of alcohol. I liked cocaine. Like I was chasing pleasure all the time, and so not coming from money, and then all of a sudden making lots of money, at least what I thought was a lot of money. That money then just went to pleasure seeking, wherever I could find it, right? And because I had the work ethic, and because I my mentality was, well, if I'm going to party, I'm going to show up. If I'm going to party, I'm going to show up. So I never let that prevent me from showing up on Monday or Tuesday or whatever. And but the moving business, at least from my experience, and again, this was based on where I was at the time of my life. Everyone around me was toxic, but I was toxic. I didn't see it like that. And it wasn't until I got out of that, I stopped partying. I quit booze, I quit drugs, and I found, I believe that our quickest path to self improvement is through our bodies. Working out on a daily basis, it changes your mind, it changes your body, obviously, but it really has such a positive effect on your mindset. And I think if that's in tune, then the nutrition gets in tune, and you're getting vices out of your life, alcohol, drugs, partying, whatever the vice is, you're going to become a different person. And so at that time, I made that big change, but I still hadn't found a lot of the mental components of it. And now fast forward years later, I was reading, but I wasn't understanding, and I don't want to go too deep on this, but like the subconscious mind and the subconscious mind programming and how that affects us. And about 6 months ago, I was, we were kind of struggling in our relationship. I wasn't happy with my business. I just wasn't in a happy place again. And I really just dove into personal development. And for me, it started with working out again. I hired a online fitness coach, dialed in my nutrition, dialed in my workout programming. I go 6-7 days a week now. I'm on point with my nutrition. Obviously, I gave up alcohol completely 2 years ago, so that's not my life anymore. I don't use drugs anymore. I'm not seeking pleasure. What I'm now seeking is a life that is disciplined and living a life of integrity. And the more I fill my brain with, positive. I'll just show this book. This is a good one.
Ooh, 177 Mental Toughness Secrets of the World Class. Who's it by?
Steve Seibold.
Cool. I'll have to pick it up. Yeah.
It's really good. But the more I fill my mind with like positive reading, positive messaging, positive quotes, the more, every day committing to the gym, every day just following through with the things I promised myself that I'm going to do, I become a better leader in my business. I become a better leader in my relationship. Like my life just continues to improve. And it's, people look at it as like work, and of course it's work, but the benefit is just so great, compared to a life of, what's the word I'm looking for? Just being passive, just letting life just go by you, undisciplined, a lack of integrity. And so I've really just tried to like change the way I look at things, the way I do things. Basically, it came down to, I knew if I wanted to my business to improve, my relationship to improve, the way I felt about myself to improve, it started with me, and I needed to start making big changes in my life. And once that took place, and it continues to take place, the other things just seem to fall in line, you know?
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Makes a lot of sense. Makes a lot of sense. I'm curious, like, was there like something that happened that made you go down this path? Because for me, I think I went the opposite way around it. So I grew up on a farm. I did a lot of construction growing up. I never went to the gym. I never had that in-gym experience, right? And I used to brag to my friends, I'm being paid to work out. Well, you have to go pay to go to the gym, right?
Right.
When I went to university, I didn't have a gym. I didn't have any of those habits. And so my body deteriorated over university. I still played some sports and stuff, but I didn't have a regular exercise program. And then I get into business, and then I start working on my mind. So my mind came first, and then I started to work through some stuff and actually, care about and respect myself enough to say, hey, if I want to go, if future Lewis is going to go where I want him to go, he's got to, bring his body along with him. So for me, I feel like I kind of came about it backwards, right? And exercise is becoming really important to follow on and support the mental stuff. But I feel like, your story, exercise was a turning point for you. What was it that like made you make that switch? Like there must have come a time where you're like tired of it, of whatever it was that the life was that you had before to where you switched to where you are now.
Well, like if I go back in time, but when I was younger, when I was a kid, I was athletic, and I was in good shape and stuff like that. And then just lifestyle, I worked as a mover, then at the moving company, at early 30s, all of a sudden I was like 240 pounds, and just I didn't like myself. That was the really big catalyst for a change. I also went through a breakup with a girlfriend at the time, and so those two things, that kind of like seeing myself for the first time in a mirror, was like sparked this, I need to make some changes, right? I also was I'll be, transparent. Like I was a bad drunk. Like I gotten DUIs, gotten fights. Like I was always getting in trouble when I was drunk. So at some point I had to like come to, have that come to Jesus moment where you're like, this is not serving me. Right.
Right.
And I think, that was huge, getting alcohol out of my life. I still would go back and forth for a while. And then about 2 years, it's a little over 2 years now. I'm 50 now. 2 years ago, I had a thought, and I'm just like, never again, I'm done. And it was that, it popped in that clear, and I quit drinking that day. But I think the most recent catalyst for change was I turned 50. My relationship, we were struggling. We weren't sure whether we were going to move forward together or we're going to break up. I was just kind of bored with my business. I wasn't showing up the way I needed to. And I think, the 50 thing was kind of big too, because, we've talked about our views on the world, and I think we look at a lot of things very similar. Just stop wasting time was kind of the message.
Mm-hmm.
Time is going. It's going by quick, and I just wanted to live a more purpose-driven life, and not always thinking about what I should be doing, or
Just
I think
start doing the things that you wanted to be doing. Yeah,
exactly. Because we think about, I know I should be doing this, and then I'll do it tomorrow, and then tomorrow comes in, I'll do it the next day, and it's like, why? I was thinking about this the other day. I'm just like, why do we make these things so difficult in our minds when in reality they're just things that make us feel better, that make us have a better life? And I just I said, man, it's time to make a change, and I really committed to that. I think commitment is the big catalyst. If you commit to something whole, like with your heart, your mind, and you're really committed to it, the change takes place. Like the results will come if you are so committed to do anything differently.
I love it. Yeah, it comes down to, I think Tony Robbins says it's the pain of doing it or the pain of not doing it. One of them eventually pushes us to where we want to go.
Yeah,
Whichever pain is greater, right? The pain of regret or
sure.
the pain of that. I love it. Let's switch to junk removal, back to junk removal for a little
All
bit,
right.
and marketing. Because one of the things that you've done that I think is really cool, that I'm pushing you to kind of make into a thing, is you're doing the lunch with David thing. I forget what you call it, but it's skipping my
Uh,
brain right now. But you do the video thing.
yeah, it's the food reviews with JunkMD.
Food reviews with JunkMD. Yeah. So I'm always talking about creating videos, right? And this is something you and I converse about. You're actually pretty good at creating videos of yourself on jobs, talking about what you're doing, explaining to people what happens behind the scenes, etc. But I've been pushing you to get creative, and one of the ways that you've done that is the food reviews. And so you every week, roughly every week, you go out with the guys, go to a local spot, and grab some food, and then you do a review after. Where did that come about? Because it wasn't my idea. I just kind of saw you doing it, and I was like, hey, do more of this, and let's turn it into an actual thing.
Um, I always have like pretty good ideas when it comes to stuff like that. I mean, I like if I'm on the trucks, and lately I haven't been on the truck as much. But when I'm on the trucks, these like just little ideas for videos pop up in my head, or I like to make the guys laugh and try to create a positive vibe, because junk removal is not the most glorious of businesses or jobs, right? But anyways, yeah, we were there one day and I popped up the camera, and my thing is coffee. So, and I'm like everyone makes fun of me because I'll go out of my way to go to, like good old coffee roasters, when a lot of the guys are just like, oh, dude, hit up 7-Eleven or Starbucks or whatever. I'm like, no, we're going over there. So they kind of make fun of me. So we were at this coffee shop one day and I bought everybody coffees and burritos, lunch or whatever. And I'm just like, put them on the spot and just started asking them, what they thought. And it was just funny because they weren't expecting it. They kind of got embarrassed. None of my guys really get on camera too much. And then we had a couple guys from Ireland working for us. And those guys are just like, they love the camera. They love talking. And so I got them on in the truck one day, and it just, we had a lot of good response from that. But I definitely got to be more consistent with it for sure.
Yeah, yeah. And what I loved about it, and why I think it's, why I brought it up is, be creative. What is it? What is something that you love? David loves coffee, and he's got a crew that they'll jump on and chat about how their coffee was, how the food was. What's something that you do? Maybe we've got a client that's got horses, and so he puts that in his stories, and then he's like, hey, we're out here. This is what we do in our off time, and he's like showing the horses behind him. His wife's riding around the ring and whatever. But there's something that you do, and there's something that makes you unique. I'm a absolute firm believer in this. Everybody has an X factor. I'm 6'8". I almost said 6'10" for some reason. I'm 6'8". A lot of people don't see that behind the camera because most of the people I interact with are online. But when I talk about it, that's a really memorable thing. Everybody's like, "What? Like, what the heck? Like, you'd be like twice my height and stuff, right?" So it
Right.
creates conversations, and then in person it gets even more crazy. But that's something that I have that I lean into. David's leaned into his coffee. This other client's leaned into their horses. Maybe you've got a pet. We've got a plumbing client actually. He loves dogs, and they've kind of made their brand around dogs. Fix pipes and pet dogs. That's their company slogan. But there's something that everyone has. It could be anything, right? Lean into that. Create content around that, because people buy stories. People buy stories. People buy that piece of you, that X factor, and that's what I love about the food reviews. So wanted people to kind of hear it from you, and to take that away from this. I don't know if you have any further thoughts on that, but I think it's really impactful.
No, I think that, well, here's how I look at it. I think as a smaller company, and I think the majority of guys that you're probably working with are, my company size, maybe smaller, maybe a little bit bigger, right? But we are, I don't envision junk MDs all over the country, right? I have our little San Diego market. I would like to expand in that market. And with that said, I think we as smaller companies, our advantage in the market is showing our personalities, right? Connecting with possible clients through video, through social media, through community events, or through, restaurants or whatever, coffee shops, the horses, whatever it is. And really, like, if I could go back in time, the one mistake that I think that I've made, and I see a lot of other people make, is they're not documenting everything through video on a daily basis, because it really is a game changer. And not, I need to improve on our consistency with it, but I have had people that have hired us and be like, hey, I watched that video on your website and I thought that was awesome, and that's why I hired you. Or we watch your stories, and it's cool. Like, and you don't even expect it, but that little, throwing up your phone that we all are holding at all times, and, just talking to it, people connect with it. So it's like, why not use it? It's free.
Absolutely. Absolutely. We actually got a comment that just came on it, so I'm going to bring that up here. First, Gilbert says, big dog, David Leddick.
What's up, Gilbert?
Awesome. And then Eureka is saying, thank you, David. Where do you post those videos? So the videos that you take, like the food videos, I'll let you run with that one.
Yeah, so we do a lot of stories on Instagram, and it's connected to Facebook. And then we've done a few different reels. Something we got to get better at. We're trying to find an editor that we can just, do that with. I think we talked about doing them with you too. But we also have a YouTube channel. So we upload to YouTube. And but I would say your best bet is just like doing Instagram stories, and then connecting to Facebook, and then job sites, whatever. People like the junk job sites too. People are like, they'll reach out to you like, oh man, I can't believe that job's crazy, right? It's so just post them anywhere, man, really. And Gilbert, here's the cool thing about Gilbert. Gilbert's in my market. So collaboration, not competition. And Gilbert's he's got a demolition company as well, licensed demo company. Like, I'll get calls for demo that we don't do that stuff. Boom, feed it to him. So a lot of the people I see in the groups and stuff, it's like they're so worried about everybody else. And to me, it's just like, just worry about you, what you can do better. And then if you can collaborate with people in your market, like, and you can't cover a job or whatever, it's, I know he would do the same thing for us. If he can't cover a job, he's going to feed it to us. So just a point I wanted to make, because I saw Gilbert.
Yeah, I love it. I love it. And I'll take the video a step further. So one of the things that you're doing is rather than just going live, you're actually taking them as videos and then passing to us so we can put them on YouTube. Then we can embed them back on your website. That's an important thing. I love the stories. I love the doing that, but they do kind of disappear. So you want to keep them up as evergreen content too, and you can actually rank those videos, Eureka, and they can be there. They can be on your website as sales tools and everything too. So yeah, absolutely. And we can definitely chat about editing those reels. Robin here is jumping in with, I started doing shorts on YouTube. Yeah, this can be great. Talk about what you're doing, where you're doing it, and YouTube and Google can pick up on that. Eureka says thank you. Robin says he's done two reels so far, 200 views in a couple days. I love it. And Gilbert says we appreciate you and love the content. I love it. That's a good segue back into the conversation about Gilbert, because I wanted to touch back on a point. So competition. We do see a lot of people complaining about competition. Oh, the market's getting so saturated, and I'm never gonna, I'm gonna steal my competition signs, and I'm gonna do this and that. You've already, let us know very clearly your stance on competition, which lines up with mine, which is, get to know your competition. And I always put in my head, I always put competition in quotes, right? Because yes, we're competing out there, but it's the rising tide lifts all boats. That is something that you have probably heard me say before. The rising tide lifts all boats. So I'd love to hear you expand a little bit more on that. And then, I have some thoughts on competition, but, talk a little bit more about, how did you guys connect, like all of that? Because a lot of people are scared to talk to their competitors because they're like, oh, I don't want them to know my prices, and I don't want them to, find out what we're doing. Talk a little about that.
I think, first of all, there's no secrets anymore, right? I mean, we know you want to know pricing, you just call your competitors and pretend you're a customer, right? I mean, there's no secrets anymore, and there's no trade secrets anymore, right? Everybody knows what they should be doing. I know what I should be doing. Do I do it all the time. No, I don't. So I think, to me, the focus on any really, I think this is just in general for life, but since we're talking about junk removal, the more I focus and dial in what I need to be doing on a daily basis for my business to grow, it doesn't matter what, 800 Got Junk's doing, or Junk King, or the other local guys. I can't control what they're doing. I can only control what I'm doing. And so if I'm doing what you recommend that I do on a daily basis, my business will grow. Find people like Lewis that are going to say, Dave, you need to be doing those food review videos every Friday and sending them to us, and we're going to rank them, and we're going to connect you with the restaurant, right? Do I do that every Friday? I don't. I can't blame 800 Got Junk for that. Like, I didn't do that. So I think that's where the disconnect is in it for me. Yeah, there's competition. We all have competition. The markets, there's lots of junk companies coming up. How can you do things better? And I think that's where it comes down to. So really for me, I really try not to worry about them. I just try to worry about what I can do every day. Some days are better than other days for me. And then also, like, how you interact with your employees. Like, are you showing up as the best leader you can to lead your team, so that they can perform at a higher level, right? And they can leave a better impression on the client. Just all of these things are connected. But at the end of the day, it comes down to, I believe, the person whose business it is. It's all about me. If I'm running at a high level, if I'm doing the things that I need to do, everything else is going to take care of it. But if I'm worried about all the other companies that are out there, and that's where my focus is, then yeah, that's going to be my reality. And I think far too many people, they're so focused on that, and that's all they focused on. So of course their business is not going to grow. They're not, like, why would it? They're not focused on it growing. They're focused on someone else's business preventing them from growing.
Yeah. Everything's your fault, David, right? It's your fault if you're doing well. It's your fault if you're not doing well. Same for me. Like, if we're doing well, there's a reason. Probably 90 days ago, I started doing something consistently. I do see that 90 kind of changing topics a little bit here, but the work you put in today, you're going to see those results typically in 90 days. I've seen that cycle repeat pretty consistently for me anyway, and for the clients that do that. So if you're riding a roller coaster and you're like, oh, it's because my market's too saturated, and 1-800 Got Junk is coming in and they're taking out everything. What were you doing 90 days ago, and what have you been consistently doing? Right. There's something there. There's often a secret there. But yeah, competition is I think there's value in creating those relationships. I know there's value in creating those relationships. I've done this in the marketing space. We've done this locally in the junk removal space. But if you can create those relationships, say you can't serve a client because you're too booked up. Well, now you've got someone you can send that client to, and they're still going to speak well of you because you took care of them.
Yeah.
They have a truck go down, or an employee called in sick or quit. They can still take care of their clients because they can refer them over to you. So I think it's really important to, you're not going to give them all your jobs. You're still going to be on the cutting edge of what you can do, but it's really important to stay with, keeping the rising tide lifts all boats in mind. So yeah, I appreciate your feedback. Russ is encouraging you here. Keep killing it.
Yeah, thanks, Russ.
Yeah, Robin says, have you ever advertised in golf club magazines or postcards? I'll let you go first, David.
I have not. They hit me up. Well, we send out postcards to clients as like thank you postcards, but I have not ever done the golf club magazines or sent out what's it called, EDM. We've never tried that.
Everyday direct mailers, yeah, EDDM. I don't know many in the junk removal space that have done it. The power washing space, EDDM is a very common one that you see people trying. I've not tested it on our business, so I really don't have great feedback on that, Robin. If you are going to do postcards, Dope Marketing is one they've got that dialed in. They can actually send you with lists of people who have just moved in. So when you move in, if you're from out of town, right, you don't know all the people that you should be reaching out to for stuff around your house. So Dope Marketing, David with Dope Marketing, you can connect with him. I was going to say something to that point. Oh, thank you cards. Talk to us about thank you cards. You just mentioned it there.
Yeah. So thank you cards. if you have a good customer that's not moving, so obviously you want to screen that a little bit. You don't want to send it to someone who's going to be moving, that next week or whatever. But I think it's a good way to, differentiate yourself from your competition. I write like a 5-year-old, so there's no doubt it's a handwritten card when they receive it, because my handwriting's so bad. But it's just another way to say, hey, thank you for your business. We really appreciate it. We're here if you need us in the future. And so we there's times where I'm doing it like religiously, and other times when, I'll tell you what, here's the thing. When I'm on the trucks, things drop off a little bit. Lately, we've gotten to a point, which is awesome, because we've got a good team in place where I'm able to not be on the trucks, which is where I want to be at this juncture, and really focus on those kind of tasks. But I think thank you cards are definitely worth doing. We'll throw in a Starbucks gift card if it's somebody who's spending, $300-400, $500, a repeat client. So just little things like that, PS, have a coffee on us. And I just, again, it doesn't take a whole lot of time. It's cheap. And it's a way to let people, your clients, know that you appreciate them. I mean, at the end of the day, they're keeping you rolling. So yeah. I think so many people are focused on the next client, the next job, the next client. They forget about the people that already said, trusted you, gave you money for your service, and they raised their hand, right? Or maybe even you paid to acquire them through some form of advertising. So once you've paid, they do one job with you or 10 jobs with you. I want them 10 jobs.
I love it. Yeah, there is handwritten is a software that you can it actually uses robots to write the cards. Dope Marketing does this as well. Actually, they have machines that are actually hold a pen and write the cards. So it's not
I've seen their ad. That's pretty crazy.
Yeah. So if you're, as you get bigger and can't write all of them, it's an option for someone there. You can also do it like thank them right after the job, and then after a quarter or 3 months, you can do another postcard blast. But David, this has been fun. Is there a topic that you wanted to chat about that we maybe didn't get a chance to circle around to here?
I mean, I think we kind of hit all the points. I'm glad we got to throw in a little bit of self-development. At this juncture in my life, I really think that that's the key is when you focus on becoming the best version of yourself, everything else will get easier. You're not, and it's not getting easier is probably the bad term, but everything else will grow with you. Your business will grow as you're growing. Your relationship will grow as everything will fall in line if you are focused on becoming the best version of yourself, whatever that looks like. I mean, I have a vision of what that looks like for me that I'm striving to attain. And to do that, there's certain daily actions that I have to commit to and do those daily actions, right? I think that we all are fighting the resistance in our head. It's just the way it is. Our brains are trying to keep us in comfort zone, and we need to do things, consciously to move past that resistance. And the more that you really focus on just getting better, you're going to see your business get better. You're going to see all of these things get better. So that would be my only thing, is that, and that's from my own experience. I'm not just making it up. The better I get at becoming a better version of myself, the better everything else falls in line.
I love it. I definitely agree. Been a pleasure chatting with you. Always a pleasure to catch up and kind of connect and have a conversation here. Go check out what David's doing at JunkMD, guys. And appreciate you tuning in, everybody who commented. And we'll catch you next time.
All right, man. Thanks, Lewis. Have a good one.
You too.